Come in, grab a seat, let's begin. It's Teaching Tuesday where the magic's within. Unlock the words, let the stories unfold. In a world of letters, watch the wonders take hold. Come on in, let's learn and grow. Build the future word by word, row by row. Together we'll read, together we'll rise. On Teaching Tuesdays, we'll open our eyes. Every sound, every line brings us closer to turning our learners into super prosers. Phonics and fun, on a journey we'll lead. With every Tuesday, we plant another seed. Come on in, let's learn and grow. Build the future word by word, row by row. Together we'll read, together we'll rise. On Teaching Tuesdays, we'll open our eyes. Step by step, we'll find our way. Through every challenge, come what may. In our group, you're never alone. Together we'll turn this skill into a stone. Come on in, let's learn and grow. Let's learn and grow. Build the future word by word, row by row, row by row. Together we'll read, together we'll read, together we'll rise, together we'll rise. Teaching Tuesdays, the skies.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, everyone. This is Katina Taylor, and I want to welcome you to another edition of Teaching Tuesday. For those of you that are joining me in the private Facebook group, Literacy the Dreams Way, the last couple of weeks we've had some technical difficulties. So if for some reason you were not able to catch episode 56 or 57, you can jump right over to the YouTube channel, Literacy the Dreams Way. Or I'm sorry, at Literacy is Liberation, excuse me. And you can view those episodes. So again, I apologize. We had some technical glitches, but I am excited. We are back inside the group. We got those technical glitches worked out. I know that we are starting later than we normally do. We normally start on Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. I don't know about you all, but I will tell you, I just got off the highway, just got back from Memorial Day vacation with my son, my grandchildren. And I tell you, I was determined to make this work today. I did not want to put it off, reschedule, do a recording and upload it. I wanted to be live with you all. So if you were on at 6:30 and you were like, where is she? What's going on today? I hope that you catch the replay. Leave any questions, comments, or concerns in the chat, in the comments. Do hashtag replay if you are catching it at a later time. But I am so excited to be with you all. Again, my name is Katina Taylor. I'm the founder and CEO of Dreams KC, an education nonprofit that empowers parents and educators with the tools they need to teach their children, their students, foundational literacy skills. If you're on my YouTube channel and you are discovering me or Dreams KC for the first time, feel free to go back and look at some of our previous Teaching Tuesday episodes. We are at week 58. 58 weeks. We have been going strong with Teaching Tuesdays. Some have been pre-recorded, but the majority have been live. And that's the way I like it. I absolutely love meeting you here and giving you tools, hints, strategies to support your literacy learners. Whether they are our early literacy learners or for 2025, our focus has been our adolescent literacy learners. Please understand and know when we say adolescent, we are not just talking about teens. We're talking about upper elementary. We are talking about middle school. We are talking about high schoolers. So all of our early or our older, literacy learners, those that should have shifted from reading to learn to learning, or from learning to read to reading to learn. That is who we are focused on for 2025. Not because we don't think our youngest literacy learners are important, they are, but the majority of our work centers around our pre-readers, our beginning readers, our early readers. And we cannot neglect the fact that we have many students in our upper elementary, middle, and high school grades that have gaps, significant gaps that can be closed really easy if we are consistent and intentional. And so we want to make sure that we spend time focused on those learners as well, because they are just as important as our earliest literacy learners. All right. So that's where we are. That's who I am. I'm going to make that a little bigger so you all can see it. I have my helpers on so I can see. And we're going to dive right in, right, to episode 58. Today, we are going to be talking about, and this is me, for those of you that don't know me or may just be introduced to me. I spent 15 years in K through 12 classrooms. I spent 3 years as a middle school English language arts teacher. I spent 7 years as a first grade teacher, and I spent 5 years as a high school teacher. I have consistently and always been a literacy advocate, ensuring that not only did I spend my time wisely in moving students forward within the four walls of the classroom, but I also tutored. I've run for school board. I've supported and advocated for parents, grandparents, caregivers, educators themselves, to ensure that we all have what we need to be successful in and out of the classroom, and most importantly, that we serve our literacy learners well. So I am, again, the founder and CEO of Dreams KC, where we empower parents with the tools they need to teach their children foundational literacy skills, right? So just want you all to know who I am, what I do, why I exist. We believe that literacy is liberation at Dreams KC, and that drives our work. All right. So one of the things you probably have began to see me sharing with you all is this photo, this graphic. And the reason why I share this is because Teaching Tuesdays, you show up on YouTube, you show up in our private Facebook group, and you get this information. It is actionable. It is, I hope, engaging and helpful to you all to implement with your literacy learners immediately. And you will begin to see success. But understand and know that coming to Teaching Tuesdays is not enough, right? And so this is what I call the iceberg effect. When you come to Teaching Tuesdays and you get this information, you're getting about 15% of the iceberg, right? It's just like in real life. If you see what's above the surface, above the water, when you're looking at an iceberg, you're only seeing about 15%. But what's beneath the surface is about 85% of that iceberg. And so we at Dreams KC offer, through community partners, through school partners, our parent literacy training, where you get all of it, all of the meat, right, that you need to ensure that you are supporting your children in becoming confident and competent readers. So if your school district is not working with Dreams KC and you go, I know we should be, because parents want to know how to help their children become effective, right, efficient, competent, confident readers, then you go and talk with them, or you reach out to me and let's begin the conversation so that we can offer the parent literacy training to your school district, to your faith-based organization, or any organization that you are a part of. But I just want you all to know that while these Tuesday sessions have amazing value, that real value is that parent literacy training. And we can talk more about that. All right. So let's keep it going. All right. So here we go. You know, today we are focused on advanced phonics instruction for adolescent learners. Now, I will tell you that oftentimes when parents or educators even who are not familiar with structured literacy, the science of reading, etc., and they hear phonics, oftentimes they think phonics is it. If we just teach phonics, our children will become confident and competent readers. Phonics is just a part of the equation, right? And then we have advanced phonics instruction for all of our learners, right? But especially our adolescent learners, as they have mastered some of those foundational skills already, but they still may be struggling with multi-syllabic words, right? Our larger, more complex vocabulary. decoding those, spelling those correctly, attacking them when they see them in a text. Well, tonight, that's what we're focused on, is this advanced phonics instruction for our adolescent learners to ensure that they are able to decode, read fluency, build their vocabulary, right, and read competently. So that's what we're going to be talking about. Now, I will share with you that we have already talked about in previous episodes phonemic awareness. We've talked about decoding. We've talked about fluency, right? All of the building blocks, right, for reading success, for ensuring that our students become confident and competent readers, right? But today, again, we're focused on these advanced phonics, how students move from simple word reading to decoding longer, more complex academic vocabulary, or longer, more complex vocabulary that is even used in fiction text as well. And these skills ensure that they can then be successful in reading and comprehending that science textbook, those social studies texts that they encounter, those longer chapter books, novels, right? And then that they can transfer all of that over into their writing as well as they begin to do research, longer essays, those college essays, etc. So that's where we're spending our time. I wanted to make sure you all understood where we were, where we are going, etc. Right? Last week, I introduced this graphic, our literacy house. And I want you to really think about the literacy house, literacy like a house, right? I love using things that just make sense, right? Comparisons that make sense for most people. They can get it. We keep it simple. It doesn't have to be overly complex, right? And so when you think about literacy as a house, remember that phonological awareness is the foundation. Phonemic awareness, right, is the upper floor of that foundation. It's critical, crucial for reading success. Then above that, of course, you have phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and ultimately, what's the pinnacle is comprehension, making meaning from the text. That's the ultimate goal of reading, right? But all of these other rooms, all of these other portions of the house, right, they support the pinnacle, right, which is that comprehension. They all have to be present in the house, right? No room can be empty, no vacancy at the end if we're going to get to comprehension, making meaning from the text. So today, again, as we focus on advanced phonics, we focus on the bridge between phonics and comprehension, which is that smallest little room there, right? The smallest little room, morphology, right? And some other things that support us getting to that comprehension. So I just want you all to understand what room we're in while we're diving into it and how it then impacts us moving from decoding very simple words to decoding those multi-syllabic words, the more advanced academic vocabulary for our young people or our adolescent literacy learners, all right? They're young to me because I'm old, right? So we want to dive in and just say, okay, Katina, that's cool. What is, in fact, then advanced phonics, right? What is it? What should I be thinking about? What do I need to know before I actually dive into the activities? What is going to prepare me to have a conversation with my child's classroom teacher, their tutor, the reading interventionist, right? The school administrator, anyone that is the IEP team, right? The special ed teacher, my dyslexia support person. What is it that I need to know so that when we sit down, I am a full participant and I understand what is being discussed as it relates to my child or my students, okay? So when we think about advanced phonics, what we're talking about are those complex sound spelling patterns, right? We're talking about the syllable knowledge. And if we start out when they're really young, we say, okay, dog, tell me how many syllables or word parts does dog have? And they'll say dog, one. But then we may say, okay, down the road, transportation. How many word parts, word chunks, syllables does transportation come? Transportation. It has many more. Catastrophic, right? So those multi-syllabic words, we're still chunking, we're still breaking out the word parts. We need to know that they can still identify, right? Even those longer, more complex, increasingly, right, longer multi-syllabic words. So we want that. Then we talk about that morphology, right? That is at the lower end of Tolman's hourglass figure. I'll show you where that is in just a second. But when we talk about morphology, we're talking about those word parts that help us build meaning for the word, right? Increases our understanding of the vocabulary words that we are encountering. So we're talking about prefixes, we're talking about suffixes, we're talking about word roots. That's what we're talking about. And in the English language, there are some common ones that we want to ensure all of our students grasp, that they master. And you all know I use that word master a lot. What does it mean, Katina? Well, I know that a student, a child has mastered a particular skill when they can independently, without me, without a teacher, without prodding, they can independently demonstrate their understanding of a particular skill, a specific skill, with 90% accuracy or better. That's what mastery is. And we want all of our kiddos, all of our students, all of our adolescent literacy learners to master all of the skills that we are covering with them. And all of these things, that morphology and these advanced phonics skills, fall under our orthographic knowledge piece, chunk, right? Portion of Tolman's hourglass system. And really what it is they're understanding the spelling system of English. You know, reading, writing, spelling, they all go together. They are not independent of one another. They are dependent upon each other. The more we read, the more we learn to decode, the more we understand the English system that borrows from everywhere, Greek, Latin, Spanish, etc., French, right? Then we can apply the rules that we utilize in decoding words. It should translate over into our writing if we are teaching writing at the same time, which we should be, right? And we know that if they can, in their mind's eye, they've committed this information to their long-term memory, they should be able to pull upon it, tap into that file cabinet, and we should see improved spelling as their reading improves as well, right? So really and truly, advanced phonics is where decoding meets that deeper understanding of the English language. That's what it is, right? So that's what you want to know. That's what advanced phonics is, all right? So as we dive in, when we think about advanced phonics, we're talking about several things. And one of those things, feel free to screenshot this, come back to it and review it, jot your notes down. One of the things we're talking about are the 6 syllable types, right? We need to ensure not only can they identify how many syllables a multi-syllabic word has, right? But we also need them take it a step further, and they need to be able to identify whether or not the syllable is a closed syllable, where the vowel is usually short, it ends with a consonant such as dish or cat, right? A, short vowel sound, ish, right? So we need them to be able to identify all 6 of these syllable types as we talk about advanced phonics instruction. Then we want to talk about the consonant LE syllable types, right? Like candle, LE at the end, puzzle. That consonant LE is in the final syllable. Then we also want them, and this is in no particular order, they need to know it all. And we have to spend time teaching all of the 6 types of syllables. And we can do this. When I say we're teaching these things, yes, there are going to be times where we notice that a child is having an issue decoding certain types of words for whatever the reason. We then know that that's a gap in their learning. We're going to do some isolated, specific, consistent, intentional teaching of that particular skill until they have mastered it. But that may just mean during our reading, I am observing, I am listening, right? Not necessarily following a curriculum or scope and sequence. Oh, we're reading a new chapter book. I notice every time they come into a word that's final syllable is a consonant LE, like puzzle or candle, they're having trouble decoding that. I need to do some specific teaching of that. And you don't make them feel bad about it. We finish doing what we're doing. And then we say, this is what I noticed when you were reading. This is what I noticed. So I want to make sure that you understand that this is the consonant LE syllable type. And you generally are going to see a consonant, any letter that's not a vowel, followed by LE at the end of a word. And this is how you pronounce it. It can be something as simple as that. And then we give them opportunity to practice reading those types, engaging with those types of words, right? So that's what I mean when we say we're teaching this, we're reviewing it. It doesn't always mean we have to sit down and have this whole formal lesson. No, I've observed something. I'm going to pull them to a side because I have the knowledge. I see that this is a pattern where they're having a mistake or a challenge or difficulty. It's a barrier. And now we're going to address this, right? So then we have R-controlled vowels, right? R-controlled syllable types. So it changes the vowel sound, the vowel plus or R, like bird, car, right? So O-R, U-R, A-R, E-R, I-R, R-controlled vowels, right? And then we have those open syllables where the vowel is usually long, i.e. it says its name. The word ends with a vowel like go or she, right? Remember the vowel says its name. It's open. Then we might have the magic E or the silent E syllable type where we have a vowel consonant E, like kite, hope, right? I love these because these are so fun to do with kiddos, right? You can take a piece of paper. I'm going to grab one, I think. Yep. You can take a piece of paper. I'm just going to show you. If you notice they're having trouble with it. And I usually kind of fold it like, you could take, it probably would be a little bit narrow than what I'm using here. I'm just grabbing something that's in front of me. But basically, say I start with that word. You guys can see that, hop. Then I may have next to it, a little spaced out, I have that E. I can fold it out and I can make a game. I can program is what we call this, right? Program a lot of these sheets with words at their grade level. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, whatever it may be. So I may say, read that. And they'll read hop. Then I say, now read that. If we bring those together and bridge the gap, what do we have? Hope. And of course, it could be a little closer once you fold them and all the good things. But I'm just kind of give you an example of a way that you can practice this particular syllable type, this skill with our adolescent literacy learners or any of our literacy learners for that matter. And then, of course, last but certainly not least, we have vowel teams, right? So these are two vowels together that make one sound, i.e., for example, E-G, I guess, right? Meet, the E and the A says E. Or rain, the A and the I says A, rain, right? And so all 6 of these syllable types are important. They should be mastered, right? Remember that our children should be able to independently demonstrate an understanding of the 6 different syllable types, especially our adolescent literacy learners, 4th grade and above, right? So we shift them from just being able to count word parts or syllables, but to identify, analyze, right, syllable types. That's higher level thinking, higher order thinking in the literacy realm. This is an advanced phonics skill that we need them to master because it helps them with their decoding. And we know when they can decode more advanced, more complex words, it helps them in science, social studies, etc. They're chapter books, they're novels, they write better, they can pick out more advanced vocabulary to utilize in their writing, etc. Their spelling should also improve as well. So this is one of the advanced phonics skills that we want them to master. So what's up next? What is after that? Let me make sure I'm looking at my notes because I want to make sure that we are tracking. We should also want them to master how to divide syllables. And why is that key? Because oftentimes if they're writing and or typing, now more often than not, they're using a PC, they're using a tablet, it may do it for them depending on the type of program that they're using, right? Google Docs, Word, etc. Sometimes though, I always ask students to start out handwriting, right? First, and then we're gonna edit and all the things, put it into your tablet, or what have you. But they should be able to, and I see so many mistakes when students are writing that they don't know how to appropriately divide words, multi-syllabic words. So they'll come to the end of a line, they know they're running out of room, they need to divide that word up appropriately. They don't know how. They don't know how. We need them to know how, right? So once they know those syllable types, they can learn where to divide those multi-syllabic words. In these division patterns, like the vowel consonant, which is the VC, or the CV, consonant vowel, right? Or prefix root pattern, they are decoding gold for adolescent readers. Why are they decoding gold? If they know how to apply this in their writing, they also will know how to apply this when they are chunking larger, longer, more complex vocabulary out, decoding those in their reading, right? So that's why we want to teach them how to divide particular syllables. So when we talk about the vowel consonant vowel pattern, we're saying that they need to divide the word between two consonants or a consonant and a vowel, like in computer. You see that first division is between the M and the P, two consonants, right? Then we see between the U and the T, that vowel consonant or that consonant vowel, right? Then you might see a vowel consonant V pattern. So they divide after the consonant, cab in between the B and the I. Then you have vowel, consonant vowel pattern, divide before the consonant, hotel. And if they get used to auditorily hearing where the division is, they should be able to do it in their actual writing as well and in their reading. Here, remember, all of our phonemic awareness, phonological awareness, it starts with the ear. If we can hear it and process it, we should be able to then apply it to our reading and our writing. Last but certainly not least is our prefix and root pattern. Divide after the prefix. Un is a prefix, meaning not, right? Understand. Am I right? Yeah, I think I'm right. If I'm not, correct me in the comments. Yeah, undo. Yeah. Okay. So these are the different syllable division patterns that we should be teaching. We should be practicing. We should ensure that our students move from being able to count how many syllables or word parts a word has to identifying the type of syllables that we have or that they are dealing with, and then how to appropriately divide those word parts or syllables, right? So again, building on itself, we're taking them to those higher order, higher thinking skills within literacy, within phonics, the advanced phonics skills, right? So moving along, I hope you guys are getting this. If you have any questions, you have any comments, drop them in the chat. Let me know. Feel free to screenshot this, come back to it, watch it as many times as possible. If you're watching via YouTube or in the private Facebook group, use that hashtag replay so I know you're watching it after the live, right? If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to drop them in the comments. I will come back to them, take a look at them, etc. Remember, you can screenshot, take notes, whatever it is you need to ensure that your children are getting what they need. You're getting what you're needing to empower them. All right. So then I talked about morphology, right? I talked about the word parts, prefixes, root words, suffixes. Those all can be bound together, added together to actually build out our more complex multi-syllabic words. So these are meaningful word parts. They help students decode unfamiliar words, right? This is really where the meaning kicks in. If you can teach your child to recognize prefixes, word roots, and suffixes, baby, you are off to the races. I promise you. I'm going to give you an example. Unhappiness. It breaks down into meaning not, happy being the root word, and then ness, a state of being. So the meaning of unhappiness is a state of being unhappy or not happy, right? This isn't just decoding. Reading the word is the starting point, but it also is this vocabulary building piece where we are now making meaning of the individual word parts within a sentence, within a paragraph, which catapults that comprehension. If they are just word calling, meaning they can decode it, but they can't apply, they do not understand what the words mean, they don't get to comprehension. They don't. You have to understand the words, thereby understand the word parts, the prefixes, suffixes, word roots, in order to get to comprehension. Now, if you notice in the bold print at the bottom of this slide, I identified the most frequently used prefixes in the English language. Okay. And I will tell you that the 4 most common or frequently used prefixes in the English language account for about 97% of prefix words in school English, in our textbooks, in our literature that we read. 4. The most frequently used 4 prefixes account for 97%. Teach the 4. If you say Katina, because I'm going to show you a list of the most common prefixes, suffixes, and word roots, and they go beyond the 4. But if you teach those 4, come on, 97%? How can we be failing our kiddos? It's easy. Start there, and then you build onto it. The most common suffixes include this long list. It's an exhaustive list as well. But again, you bite it off chunk by chunk. You start with 2 or 3 or 4. You know your children. You know what's going to overwhelm them, right? You know that kid that moves along really quickly, you know what's going to underwhelm them. So if you introduce 2 and they're like, come on now, get with it, mama. Get with it, tutor. Get with it, grandparent. Get with it, caregiver. Then you can introduce more and you keep going from there. Before you know it, they've mastered all of them. They are, again, off to the races, making meaning, building that vocabulary, right? So I want you to understand when we talk about morphology, we're talking about meaningful word parts that not only help us, assist us with decoding, but it is now building our vocabulary strength, our efficiency of the ability to define the words that are being used so that we are getting to comprehension. All right. I hope that makes sense. So here is where I said you can screenshot this. You can come back, jot them down, or do whatever you want to do. These are the most common prefixes and suffixes, right? So you have the prefix column, you have what it means, and then you have some example words. I did the work for you. You don't have to worry about it. Now, if you like to do your own work, you want to check it out, you want to go behind me. One of the things I absolutely love, I talk about it all the time, is my Bible. And I will tell you is, and I don't know. Yep, they do. So in the very back of the ABCs and all their tricks, this book, I've showed it on more than one occasion when we've had Teaching Tuesday. In the very back, you have sections on prefixes, Latin suffixes as well, multiple suffixes, etc. I love this because it's a quick and easy reference guide that I can utilize to ensure that I am on point in teaching the particular skills to my students, to students I tutor, to my grandkids, etc. So that's another resource. Or you can just, like I said, you screenshot these, you start here and you go from there, right? It's done for you. And you have a QR code at the end of this Teaching Tuesday segment today or I'm going to give you some additional resources to be able to utilize as well. All right. So I wanted to make sure that as we talk about morphology, as we talk about the most common prefixes, suffixes, and word roots, that you have access to a resource so you can begin teaching them immediately. Practicing. How do you do that? You can play bingo with them, right? You can do word analysis games and activities. Oh, we're going to talk about that in a minute. So I'm not even going to jump ahead. Just understand and know, here's the list. Screenshot it, come back and jot them down, whatever you need to do to have them. All right? Okay. Because it's not my intellectual property. It's the English language, right? So it doesn't belong to Katina. Anybody can have it. So that's why I say take notes, screenshot, come back and look at it as many different times as you can. But understand and know, Facebook has changed their algorithm and rules again. Our videos within our groups now are deleted after 30 days. However, Katina still has a copy because I use a third-party vendor that records it as I share live. And our YouTube channel is there where they live in infamy, hopefully, unless YouTube decides to change their rules and procedures. So currently, you have them here in the private Facebook group, the videos for 30 days. Then they are automatically deleted. I just want to let you all know that. But remember, as long as you are following us on YouTube, Literacy is Liberation, right? At Literacy is Liberation, then you have these indefinitely. And even if YouTube decides eventually to get rid of them, Katina still has them, all right? So when we think about orthographic patterns, this is some things I want to point out to you so that you know you have the baseline information. There are 15 to 20 vowel teams that exist and are used most often in the English language, right? Different spelling patterns for the same sound. That's what we talk about when we talk about vowel teams. Two vowels operating together to make a single sound. Different ways in which we, like long A, right? We can do AI, we can do A by itself, we can do AY, etc. But there are 15 to 20 vowel teams, generally most used in the English language. 20% percentage of vowel sounds that are reduced to that schwa sound, about 20% of our vowel sounds are reduced down to that schwa sound. Now, I think this is just important for you to understand and have a concept that if we teach some of these skills and our students master them pretty immediately because we've been intentional and consistent, they're beyond halfway there in terms of becoming confident and competent readers. We just have to make the decision, the commitment, and take action to be consistent and intentional and ensure that we are spending the time needed and necessary, which you know me, 15 minutes minimum, 45 minutes maximum, 3 to 5 days a week. Our kids got it going, right? And then there are 12 to 15 common silent letter combinations in English, right? So I also want you to know that when we think about teaching these advanced phonics skills, if they master these things when we teach them, we are intentional, we are consistent in tearing down, eliminating these barriers, these challenges. Our children absolutely can become confident and competent readers. But it starts with our knowledge, our information to go, oh, this is doable. Oh, I can do this because I'm the first and most important teacher of my own child, or the child that I care for, or the child that I teach. Oh, 15 minutes is all I got to do, 45 minutes max, 3 to 5 days a week. Got it. I can do this. And you can with my support, right? And the more you practice, the better you become. Your kiddos have these successes. And before you know it, again, they are the confident and competent readers that we knew that they could be. All right. So just want you to understand these orthographic patterns in the English language. All right. All right. So then, of course, I just talked about the vowel teams. I talked about the common silent letter combinations. Here you go. Here they are. You don't have to go look them up. You don't have to go search them out. You don't have to go ask ChatGPT. Hey, I got you. They're right here. So screenshot this, jot them down, come back and look at them. These are the ones we should be teaching to our children. So you have the vowel team, you have examples, you have the sounds, right? You for the common silent letter combinations, you have that combination like KN, knife, no, etc. You have examples and then any specific notes that you need regarding those silent letter combinations, right? So I want to make sure that you understand and you have everything you need to be successful, to work with your children. I'm giving it to you to take action, right? Because I don't think this is information that should be hidden, kept, or we say only teachers need this. Only tutors need this information. No. You, as a parent, as a caregiver, the most important teachers of your children, you're the first and most important teachers of your children. You should have this information because I know you are asking, how can I support my child? So no good thing should we withhold from you. Okay. All right. So if we want to hold parents accountable and responsible for supporting their children in becoming confident and competent readers, we have to ensure you have the information, the resources. And that's what I do through Dreams KC, right? That's what we do here on Teaching Tuesdays. That's why it's important for you to show up for yourself and for your children. And then don't hoard the information. Again, this isn't Katina's information. I want you to become so good at this that you are excited about teaching other parents, teaching other people in your family, right? If I need to show up to support that, tie up any loose ends, answer any questions, then I'm there to do that. All right. So I just want to make sure you all have what you need. All right, let's keep it moving. So remember that all of the work that we do at Dreams KC, what we do on Teaching Tuesdays, is centered in the structured literacy approach. What we know, what data has always told us. I'm 53, since I was in school, okay, or before. You know, my mother taught us how to read, and she didn't have the language of structured literacy, but she knew to be explicit. She knew that it built upon each other, and she knew that it had to be fun and it could not be boring. That's really what the structured literacy approach is. Be explicit, intentional, consistent. Teach the concepts directly and clearly, right? When we are teaching, supporting, practicing, they're not guessing. They have to figure it out. No, that's our job to help build those new neural pathways that they need. So we're going to say this letter combination, the PH, it makes the sound. We're going to tell them that. We're going to, I do, we do together. And then we let them do things independently. It is not, aha, you should know this. No, how could they know that? No one's taught it to them. We want to be systematic with it. Right now, I say follow a logical sequence as we observe, as their assessments, formal, informal, summative, all these different assessments that they have. What information or what are our observations of them, just when we're reading together? What are we noticing? What are these assessments telling us? And then how do we then address it? You can't address everything at the same time. You cannot. Remember, everything builds on itself. Scaffolding. I talk a lot about the steps. So we can follow a logical sequence. We can build skills in a planned manner. Start with the basic skills before you go to the more complicated ones. Kind of simple, right? Yes. And then I say, make it fun. They say multi-sensory. What does that mean? We engage multiple senses, right? Body kinesthetic, art, movement, art, right? What they hear, what we say, what they see, what they write. Multi-senses, right? To address all the different ways in which we learn and can commit information from our short-term memory to our long-term memory. It strengthens the building of the neural pathways necessary to ensure that our children become confident and competent readers. See, say, trace, and build words with manipulatives. See it, say it, trace it in the air, skywrite, right? Build with manipulatives, tools, activities. It should be engaging. It should be fun. You don't want to be bored. Your children don't want to be bored. If we engage all of their senses in the different learning modalities, guess what? They are right there with us. And they get to mastery quicker too. Just so you know. Yes, indeed. So I just want you to know that this is the structured literacy approach. It's backed by science and has been for decades. Again, I'm 53. Hello. And it was working prior to. Okay. before 53. So understanding, no, this has always been, it's been consistent. In this, the research and the science consistently tells us that this is what works. All right. So you heard me talk about Tolman's hourglass. I've talked about this so much that you all should know. But we start at the top, right? Phonological awareness. We end up at orthographic or orthography at the bottom. The phonics in the middle is where we begin connecting the phonemes, the actual sounds, with graphemes, the symbols, letters, right? So we really go into the discussion around how these things are connected. Now, remember, we're talking about advanced phonics skills. So it really is where sound meets spelling, right? So we initially start with that phonological awareness, phonology, sound, or all that work is generally done orally. Understanding the speech sounds, right? Then we get into those advanced phonics, what we're talking about. And within the advanced phonics, if you notice in that blue, I have a little arrow pointing there where we start talking about syllables, more advanced level of syllables, morphemes, and then the meaning of words, right? The origin of words. That's at the bottom part of the hourglass figure under orthography, right? So I just want you to know kind of where we are. When we start talking about our adolescent literacy learners, we should, it's not always the case, we should be focusing on the bottom part of the hourglass. If in fact we've done the appropriate work, their teachers had done it with those early literacy skills. At the bottom of that hourglass figure, we're talking more advanced complex skills that ensure that they then are shifting from learning to read to reading to learn. All right. So I just want you to understand the advanced phonics connects the sound to the meaning. For example, biosphere. Students understand bio means life, sphere means world, right? The study of, right? Or the study of. That's the ology, right? That I think about the study of. So I just want you to understand and know we're getting more complex, we're getting deeper, and all of this prepares our students for more complex academic work. So do you say, okay, Katina, I got all the background. I know what they need to be knowing when it comes to advanced phonics skills, why it's important, where it falls under structured literacy, where it falls on Tolman's hourglass figure, etc. What activities can I be doing? What specific activities can I be doing to ensure that my students, my children are getting this instruction, this practice, right? So that they are working toward mastery. So one activity I wanted to point out was syllable sorts. Remember, we talked about the 6 different types of syllables. So if you want to practice with them identifying the different types of syllables, you just come up with, because I have a QR code with some word lists for you at the end of this, that's going to have several different types of syllables, right? And so you want to start with, can you count them? Then you're going to move, can you identify them? Because we've taught you what open, close, all those are. Now we're saying, okay, can you identify them? Can you sort these index cards that have different words on them and put them? Or is it a closed syllable? Is it an open syllable? Is it a silent E syllable? Is it the consonant LE syllable, right? And we want to classify them. That's a quick and easy way for us to understand which types of syllables they understand, which they may need more time and practice before they get to mastery. We're going to do, remember, we start together. I do first. I'm going to show them, maybe with some different words, maybe with not as many. I'm going to start there. Then we're going to do some together. I'll not only share the ones that I've already done, right? Then we're going to add a few more. That's the we do. Then eventually we get to practice where they're going to do it independently, right? We're adding even more words, and therefore they are able to sort the 6 different syllable types. Now, again, you know your children best, you know your students best. If they need to start with 2 syllable types, then we add 2 more, then we add 2 more, we get to them, right? 2, 4, 6. If it's 1 at a time until they get to the 6, that's fine. If we do 3 and 3, that's fine. If we do 4 and 2, that's fine. If they lay them all out, all 6, they don't get overwhelmed, We can do that too. But only you know your students, your children best, what's going to overwhelm them, what's going to underwhelm them, right? So you want to try this with words. You can try this with from their homework, their reading materials, text that you're reading. But again, I'm giving you a QR code at the end of Teaching Tuesday today that has some words that you can utilize to do this activity, right? So it helps you to sort them by syllable type to reinforce so they begin to see, identify, commit to long-term memory the spelling patterns in the English language. That's why this is important. All right, so then you talk about morphology matchup. I love this. You could do this with the younger students, but you can also do it with the older students. It is multisensory, right? So again, you get some index cards, you get some colored post-it notes, whatever it is, and we're going to build words. That's all you're doing, right? You're going to say, we've learned these prefixes, we've learned these suffixes, we've learned these word roots. Now we're just going to make words. So you create the cards with the prefixes, the root words, and suffixes, and you challenge them to create real words by combining them, right? You may start with just two, a prefix and a root word. Re and play equals replay. Help and full equals helpful. Un and lock equals unlocked. But you may then go back and say helpfulness, add a suffix. We know help plus full is helpful, helpfulness. Now we're adding that third part, the suffix. Then we're adding, as we do these activities, especially this morphology mix-up, then we're also talking about word meaning. If I say re and play is replay, what does that word mean? Well, we know that re means again. We know what play means. Oh, play again? Yes, we're going to watch the replay. Sports fanatics, sports fans, related to something they already know, they get it immediately. Oh, that's what they say. Oh, the light bulb moment, right? He or she is helpful. Oh, they're full of help. What does that mean? They are helpful a lot, right? They're full of help. You guys got it? I hope so. So that's an easy way to practice a particular skill to mastery. I do, we do, you do. Okay. Word analysis activities, another one, right? So you want to talk about practice with academic vocabulary. I'll say that from their textbooks, from fiction or nonfiction texts that they're reading. And basically all we're doing is breaking down complex words to build their confidence, right? Celebration. We're going to count how many syllables. We're going to talk about the different syllable types. We're going to talk about any prefixes or suffixes that are present or word roots. We're combining them together. We're making meaning. They're actually learning new, more complex, multi-syllabic words in context. Then we're going to talk about those word meanings. Then we're going to challenge them to use them in their writing, right? Write me a paragraph, write me an essay, write me a poem, write me a song, whatever it may be, to ensure that they truly do understand how to use those words. You guys got it? You follow me? You with me? I hope you are. All right. So when we talk about word analysis, that's what we're talking about. Any words, especially that they miss while they're reading, meaning that they decode them incorrectly, this would be a great activity for this. We're going to pull that word out and we're going to do some work. How many syllables does it have? What type of syllable, syllable types are here, right? What suffixes do we see? What prefixes that we see? What word roots do we see? And if they can do all of that, then they can get to the meaning. They can get to decoding. They can get to using it in their own writing. And the next time that they encounter that word, boop, bop, bam, they're going to be ready. All of this work also, if you have a kiddo that's competitive, these would be great. These advanced phonics skills get them prepared for spelling bees. They do. And spelling bees are a great way to build literacy knowledge. Just saying. All right. So this is another activity that you can do. Of course, you also want them using decodable texts. And there are decodable texts that are available for our adolescent literacy learners. Yes, yes, yes. Black Silk Path is a series. I actually have some behind me. from them that they have read. I love the fact that we have now adolescent literacy learner decodable text written as poetry, graphic novels, um, readers theater, etc. So it really does make decodable text palatable for our older children. They don't feel like they're reading a baby text, even though they're working on very specific skills using decodable text, right? So you have a 95% group also has some decodables online. Eventually, Katina, Dreams KC, will have some advanced decodable books available as well. We don't yet, but we're getting there. Also, if you notice that they are having trouble with a very specific skill, if you love AI, like I love AI, you can actually, if you can write prompts well, you can actually create some decodables using AI. And you know that you're working on a particular skill, you want to feed in some sample words for that particular skill, and out it will pop. You want to talk about their grade level, why you're doing it, etc. And before you know it, AI can be supporting you in that as well. So you also want to make sure that you're always practicing reading together. You're modeling great reading, reading with expression, fluency, thinking through a text, decoding multi-syllabic words, all of the things. And then you want to give them an opportunity to read as well, especially our adolescent literacy learners. You should never be doing all the reading, even with our younger readers, for real. You all should not be, as adults, we should not be doing all the reading. Yes, we want to model. Yes, we want to read to them, but they also need to be able to practice the skills. If we're doing all the reading, they're not practicing themselves. So you want to take turns. Sometimes I suggest you read on Monday, they read on Tuesday. You read on Wednesday, they read on Thursday, right? So I want to ensure you, I want to push you, I want to challenge you to ensure that you are giving them an opportunity to practice the skills that you're teaching, that you're tutoring them on, that you're supporting them with mastering. And then you want to highlight, note, observe, right? Areas where you see a pattern of challenge for them. They consistently need support on a particular skill. That automatically is the indication that's what I need to zero in and teach, support, practice, all the things. And then, of course, you want to transfer any skills that you are teaching and isolating to the real reading, right? Everyday reading. Is it an instructional manual? Is it something with their game? You know, technology? Is it a menu? Is it a stop sign? Are they learning, getting ready for their driver's test? Whatever it may be, how can you apply the literacy skills that you are building with them to what is happening in their real life? It has to be relatable for them to really zone in, right? To tune in, to buy in to what we are doing with them. Remember, these are adolescent literacy learners. That means 4th grade and above. They are smart. They are intelligent. They want to be challenged, and they want to address any gaps that they may have as well. All right. So why does all of this matter? I love simple things, remember? So it increases their decoding speed, their ability to decode words faster, because they have mastered these advanced phonics skills. It increases their reading comprehension, which is the ultimate goal of reading, right? Yes, meaning making. It can improve their test performance, their assessment performance. You may say, how so, Katina? Many of our tests, even math, right, require a ton of reading. If they don't understand what they're reading, they're not going to do well on the assessment. It's kind of like, right? So oftentimes students will score low in science and social studies and math and other academic areas, and we think that they may not know the content. That is not necessarily the case. What may be happening is that there is a gap, a barrier, an obstacle in their literacy development, which is preventing them from making meaning of the text that they're reading. Therefore, they don't do well on the assessment. Has absolutely nothing to do with the content. Can they read the words? Do they understand the vocabulary that's being used? Do they have the background knowledge? And of course, we know that it exponentially, as they master these skills, their reading confidence shoots through the roof. And that's how we build confident and competent readers. Celebrate those victories. Celebrate when they master a particular skill. Point out their strengths. Why is that important? Because the more they do that, they stick their chest out. They want to practice more. And we know that the more they practice, the quicker they get to competence. So we want to spend time building their confidence so that they practice more and get to competence. Does that make sense? That's why I always say we are building confident and competent readers. I hope that makes sense to you all. All right, so what are our tips? What are our tips? Remember, you want to aim 15 minutes to 45 minutes a day. That's it. You want to make it hands-on, body kinesthetic. You want to use the materials and supplies you have in your home. You want to be consistent, intentional, celebrate the progress, and the aim is mastery. That they can independently demonstrate understanding of a text, right, of a skill with 90% accuracy or above, all right? So I want you to know that. Unlock the words, break down complex text, please, right? This assists them in preparing for their academic future. It builds their comprehension. It boosts their confidence. We've already talked about that. Advanced Phonics gives your child the tools to decode anything they face in school, in life, in their future career. That's where it's at, y'all, right? That's where it's at. Here's the QR code for tonight. Go ahead and scan this. Get access to the free, right, resources that goes over all the material, explains all the material. Remember, you can come back, screenshot anything that you need so that you can practice with your children, immediately implementing strategies to ensure that they are confident and competent readers, right? All right. And I think that's all I have for you all tonight. We went about 2 minutes over. I know this was a little longer than we normally go. 45 minutes is usually our target. But I tell you, this is it. You've got this as parents, as caregivers, as career educators. You have it. Advanced Phonics, remember, it gives your child the power to read anything. We are not just building readers. We're building confident learners who are ready for the world. And as I always say, y'all know I'm going to say it because I always say it, right? What am I going to say? Y'all ready? Y'all ready? Y'all ready? Y'all ready? Y'all know how I'm going to say it. Let's get lit, y'all. Until next time, 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, every Tuesday, right here on the At Literacy's Liberation YouTube channel for Dreams KC or in our private Facebook group. This has been a long day, y'all, but I'm here for you. I'm here for it and our children to ensure that they are confident and competent readers. Talk soon. Bye-bye.
Welcome in, grab a seat, let's begin. It's Teaching Tuesday.